Our next speaker is Frank Benintendo. Frank has been the Chief Creative Officer at Popcorn, Indiana. We've had a chance to chat a bit over the last couple of hours, and one of the things that Frank's going to be talking about is how do you get it all to fit together? There's so many decisions that are involved in the packaging, and I think you'll find this very interesting. So, Frank, if you'd like to come on up, it's your show.
Good morning. How many creatives do we have out here today? You're going to be disappointed. Because part of this presentation is about everything that goes along with the creative people that do the packaging design. And it's very important to have that mindset to understand what goes into a bag redesign. So why do we redesign? What are the reasons we redesign? Where does it come from? Who is driving the ask for a bag or a packaging redesign? Okay. Is it out of date? Are you losing to the competition on the shelf? Do you want to do a price increase? Is it a weight out in the bag of your product? A weight out is a backdoor way into taking a price increase. Finance loves that all the time. Additional information on the front of the bag, maybe. Maybe you are changing the brand message. You realize that you're not hitting your target audience. The message is not clear. Maybe someone in your organization has said, you know, this logo is dated. It needs to be more contemporary. I'm a creative person, but I get involved in all these other issues. What does the word contemporary really mean to us? The other presenter showed you Tropicana. They wanted to be more modern, and look what happened to them. So I'm an advocate of evolution in design change, not a revolution. So who's asking for the change? I find this very important to understand where the ask is coming from, because that sets the tone for the whole process that needs to get done. Sales. They want anything and everything because they have to sell. They want change all the time. They're into the new shining object all the time because that makes them more relevant to sell their product to the buyers out there. It's a marketing. They're whimsical at times. They change their messaging. They want to prove that they can be better at their messaging on the package. So is it coming from them? Is it your board, your investment group, the owner? They want profit. Everything's driven by profit in this world. Make money, make more money. Are we being profitable? Are we beating the competition? It could be the CEO of your company because he feels that he wants to change. It could be the senior management part of the team. So you should understand who's making the change. I find that very good to know because then you know who is driving it, and then you know the personalities behind it, and then you know what the path and how hard the road would be to do the redesigns of your packaging. It can come from anywhere in your organization, inside or out, so just beware. We've all experienced different types of changes to the process, and sometimes you wonder why we're making this change. Isn't it good enough? But when it comes, be ready for it. It's important to understand what you want to accomplish in this change. You know, a lot of companies, big and small, marketing dollars are out there. We have that one little billboard of your package sitting on a shelf in a sea of everything else. All that noise out there. In the club area, we have an expression, 5 feet, 5 seconds. When someone is shopping down the aisle, they have a predetermined list, but you got to stop them and change their mind to pick up your package. The other side of this is, what is the desired outcome? You may say that what you want to accomplish and the desired outcome are the same, but they're really two different things. The accomplishment part is setting up the packaging. The desired outcome is the measurement of the change. So be aware what the accomplishments want to be, what you want to accomplish, and what the desired outcome is. In all the years that I've been in this, it's always been profit-driven. That's why the change comes. And it'd be better to send your product out to the consumer so they understand what your product is all about and they buy it. So here are some of the desired outcomes that I've been asked to do in my lifetime. Increase brand awareness, increase sales, increase profit. Then you have the other side of it, internally. What is better case pack to get more product out there? Better pallet configurations, better use of warehouse space, better freight costs. So as you can see from this list alone, you're touching upon sales, marketing, manufacturing, logistics, finance, and there are a bunch of other characters on this wheel. When you get the call to do a bag refresh or a bag redesign, I'll say bag a lot in this presentation because I come from popcorn, and we had bags, but it could be boxes, bottles, any shape or form of your packaging. When you get the call for this change, you need to understand, and you need to put together a team of 1 or 2 people that will drive the process. Because there's so much information that needs to be gathered, so everyone along the swimming pool, as I would say, all these characters will be standing on the pool, they're all going to dive into the water together, and they're going to swim in their lane, but they have to transfer information back and forth. And it's really important to get that done efficiently, because we all know about resets and planograms. If you miss one, you could be out of your shelf space very quickly. So, getting back to who, what, when does this all affect? I mentioned a few of the characters. I'm going to take you through all those different stakeholders in your enterprise to understand why they ask certain questions, what is needed to get them to give you the information in a timely fashion, because without that, you will hit speed bumps and you can throw the train off the track. The creative department. These guys, like myself, and many out there that raised your hand, are in the trenches making the change to the packaging. You do art production files, and you're in charge of pre-press and all the other marketing needs in the organization. People don't realize that making a package change is very costly, because let's take an example of pre-press. If you have a bag or a box or whatever, let's keep it simple, 4 color process at $500 a plate is $2,000 for a 1 package. You have 5 flavors, you're up to $10,000. You have different channels. You have grocery, you have drug, you have C-store, you have vending and food service. It could add up to $50,000, $60,000 in a heartbeat if you carry all those along the line. So right away, you're going to have finance on your back. Why are we doing this? Why are we continuing that? Also, you have to be cognizant of all the information you need to do that change. You need to know what your new canvas is going to look like, the size of the bag, what's going on in it. So that's where marketing comes in. They're going to give you your brand positioning, the new brand messaging, and this is a good time for them to get together with finance to see if SKU rationalization is important, because you're spending a lot of money. You may have a product in the grocery segment that is doing very well, but that product or that flavor could be a dog in one of your other channels, and you're losing your profitability at that point in time. So do you continue in the other channels, or you don't continue in the other channels? Those are the early on decisions that need to be made, because the creative department is going to have to produce all that artwork to go forward. Then you have your website. On the website, there are changes and more cost implications. You need new product images, you need new nutritional facts on there, you need new UPC codes, whatever other specs that you carry on your website for your consumer to understand your product better. Maybe there's a language change, maybe there's a new position, maybe you're introducing a new product, flavor or something. It hits the website. and social media gets involved. All that, maybe you want to put a tease out there to say something new is coming, exciting, to start the consumers to understand that they're not going to be seeing the old product design on their shelves when they go to look for it. Like I said, evolution, not revolution in the brand design. On the sales marketing materials, sales teams are going to need all new sales materials, sales sheets, collateral material, and whatever else they need, new coupons. All that has to be done, ready to go when you say we're making the switch over. Sales, I started talking about sales and their needs. It's collateral materials, pricing, UPC code updates, because they have to fill out all those sheets to for all the retailers so the PO systems can be upgraded. Do you know that if you change a weight by 20%, you need a new UPC code? If you change the packaging facing by more than 20%, it's a new UPC code. So all of that has to be gathered. That's what I'm talking about. Everyone's swimming down the pool, exchanging information. And it's important to have one or two, my team was myself and another young lady who helped me, drive the communication aspect, pulling the information out of people. We're all human, we're all busy in our day-to-day business, worrying about what we have to do. When you take on a monumental situation like this, you need that information so everyone can be working at the same time. Weekly meetings are a must, and the person needs to be respected in the organization to demand the information when it's told to be given in. Otherwise, it starts the oops on the shelf starts, because you're going to slide backwards and you're never going to make it to the finish line. The sales team have to work with their retailers and the information of when the resets are, when the planogram section is changing, when the retailer needs to have certain information. And all of their systems have to be upgraded. If you miss a set time when a retailer sets their POS systems, you get fined. You have to pay back money for each SKU that gets changed in their system. So you got to keep that in mind. Every retailer doesn't work on the same timetable. So you need to look at that and see how you can get it all together to make sense for your whole situation. Manufacturing. They just produce the product for you. But there's equipment inside your facilities. You may be using co-man, you may be self-producing your own products. You really need to find out what they need to know how to produce a new product. I have bag fill weights. In popcorn, we did, my last project there was a bag refresh. We were taking a weight out. We wanted to take a price increase, so we were doing it that way. So the bag itself needed to be decided how big it would be, how much product is going in the bag. Was it too little? Consumer sees too little in the product. We all squeeze that bag. You know, we squeeze that potato chip bag, and it's filled with air. You know, the joke is, oh, the air is there to protect the product. But are we shorting the consumer? And consumers are very well. They're smart. They're savvy. They will squeeze that bag and see how much product is in it. If it's, you know, they don't read the net weight. The first thing they do is they squeeze. So in order to get that right early on, you need to know that. The bag dimensions, so the creative department can then figure out what that's going to be, their canvas to start creating the new design. You need to know how many more on the shelf. You may take a ½ inch out. And that also helps finance, because finance is saying, okay, great, we're going to be spending less money in film or corrugate and that, and there's a savings there. Pack out equipment. You may have automated case erectors for your shippers. So that needs to be discussed. Can the new shipper be done on that equipment? We had a situation at Popcorn where we changed the orientation for a knockout on our shippers from a side to the long side to the short side, and we changed the orientation of the bags in the case. But one of our facilities the robots couldn't pack it. We found that out late in the process because no one thought, everyone figured, it's a robot. A few settings, he does what he's told. Doesn't work that way. So we incurred a lot of extra expense by having to bring laborers in to pack that until we got the robots up to speed. So it's another area you need to watch over. Switch over cutoff dates and start to build inventory inside of your own facility. You're running a business, every day you need to supply your retailers with the product. You can't have empty shelves, but at the same time you need to build inventory to roll out of your buildings, your facilities, to meet the new orders that'll be coming on the switchover. Logistics. Those are the guys that load the trailers, ship it out for you, get it there on time. There's a whole fleet of people that have to be educated on that, on building the pallets, how they get on the trucks. New forms may have to be filled out, new UPC numbers, new case numbers. It goes on and on. You have to figure out what the first ship date will be. And everybody has to be in sync in the whole organization on that. It's very important. And that comes back to communication. I can't say that and impress that enough on you, that communication between everyone on the wheel has to be talking. And then, of course, the retailers must arrive date. You tell them you're coming on a day, you better be there. If it's late, you can get fined more dollars that go on and on to be spent needlessly. Operations is another key player. And regardless of small or large organizations, we may all have single individuals that handle these departments, or we may have people that wear multiple hats. They all have to give the information into the hub so that it can be tracked and key points are made. Ordering systems have to be upgraded internally as long as and outside. EDI, reporting to Nielsen, RRI, and scripts have to be done. They have to be notified. Otherwise, you have a new UPC code out there and you are not getting tracked against your competitors and your sales at the register. Warehouse space. Oh, we have a warehouse. We'll get another warehouse. Well, that costs money. At this point in time, you are having old inventory being shipped and you're building new inventory to be shipped. So you need warehouse space, and they have to be segregated. God forbid you're building inventory and someone grabs the wrong pallet and ships it in the old process. So that's another key point that needs to be done. And of course, disposal of old inventory. Finance hates this the most. Why can't you guys get it right? Why can't we get down to 0 before we switch over? But there will be old inventory of ready-made product and film, corrugate, ingredients will be thrown out. And that brings in purchasing. Purchasing has to be monitored carefully of all the stuff coming in, both old and new. They need to keep up and be mindful of their present job, which is getting old orders out, and then bringing in new stuff so manufacturing can schedule time to start building orders and inventory. Finance, mentioned it a few times. They need to do an audit in the early on stages to know what the inventory will be, what the exposure to the company will be when you discard all this. They have to know, they will dictate on when the disposal of old inventory will be, when the right time to take the write-offs, and cost of warehouse space if needed to store new and old. And if they're not discarding the old inventory right away of raw materials, there's a dollar value to that. Legal, we all know that's coming from FDA. We're all getting a new nutritional facts panel. I've seen them. It's about the same area that we give up today on our packaging for this box that we don't like to have there, but we have to have it. It's just different inside. So we have to pay attention to that. It may be, we have a few years, but it may be a good time to start thinking about that if you want to do other changes, to do the changes with that. Because the type styles in those panels are a lot different, they're a lot larger, and the relationships are way different than we've ever seen before. I don't know how many of you have seen it or looked at it, but you should start looking at that because that's going to be a critical path to follow. Another most important thing is legal. We have the FDA requirements, we're talking about that, and compliance. You're changing your bag, you're making new claims on the bag, you're changing the verbiage on the bag. Is it legal? You know, class action suits in food every day. It happens. I've been involved in one or two because at a time we all said all natural. You can't say all natural any longer. And there are certain things that you claim on the front of a bag, maybe calorie counts. You need to have certain footnotes. So this is a time consuming because lawyers, they take their time to get things back to you. And every time the information is wrong, you got to go back to legal again. So it's really important to, like I keep saying, communication. Drive the folks along that wheel, information to the hub to make this a successful transition. Now, I just mentioned things inside your organization, but there are people outside your organization that needs to be brought into at the earliest stages as possible. Now, at Popcorn, we had our own in-house creative department. It was great because it was very easy. If you go outside to an outside agency, you got to bring them in. Are they up for the task? Do they have space for you? Can they respond to your needs on a heartbeat? You need to check that out, make sure that's in place. That's also true for legal. We didn't have a legal force inside our building, so we had to go outside, and constantly, they were the ones who were holding us up. The other side is the brokers, the distributors, and the retailers. You got to bring all these people in. They have reset dates themselves. Their systems have to be upgraded. They have to be knowing about the price increases, UPC changes, all that paperwork, all that information has to get to them. Shelf sets have to be determined from your retailers, and even the packaging design. In my experience, I always like to let some of my retailers see the packaging of what we're thinking about. Some retailers are very happy with the packaging that you have, the designs. They're selling it and they're making money. If you change it and sales go down, you're going to get blamed for it. That sales went down. They're losing revenue dollars. You can lose shelf space, and that's something we all don't want to happen to us. So if you bring them into the process early on, not that they can dictate to you, just as a courtesy, let them know that you're making the change. This is what we're thinking about doing. You have any input? What are your consumers telling you? What have you heard inside your buildings? Some of the major retailers will love to be partners with you, and I've learned that's been really important. Old inventory. This is a very expensive proposition. You got a cutoff date. On a particular date, your retailers will switch their systems over, and if you change your UPC codes, they will not work. So you need to buy back old product, expensive, or put promotions into place that help liquidate it, buy one, get one, coupons, whatever you need to do in order to make that happen. Now, we covered a lot of information. It wasn't creative, it wasn't redesigned, but everyone here will deal with this on their own way, in their own place, and so hopefully it could be helpful to you.